Hey everybody, I'm Sam, and today I'm going to be talking about books to read if you're in a reading slump. We've all been there. As much as we love to read, you still find yourself in a reading slump where all of a sudden nothing grabs your attention and you find yourself reluctant to pick up the current book you've got. Basically it feels like a chore. So I've got 3 different books today that I want to talk about. Well, 4, there's a bonus one, not really, but basically 3 books that I have read that have grabbed my attention right away, have made it so I don't want to put them down. They've ended up being page turners that I finished in like a day or 2, so hopefully they work the same for you if you do give them a try, or if you have read them, let me know if they've done the same for you, if you like them or not. I came super prepared, so I only actually have a copy of one of the books that I'm going to talk about today. So sorry. But first one that I have today, so I'll just pop up a graphic of it for you. But the first book I have today is called The Couple Next Door by Shari, Lapena. And so for me, thrillers are a great type of book to get out of a slump because obviously they're usually focused on a mystery type of story, which piques your curiosity, encourages you to keep reading and to get answers as to what's going on. A note about this book is that it is written in the first person narrative, which I will admit is not always my favorite style of writing. I don't know why, sometimes it's kind of annoying to me, but it does work in certain cases, like say in like the Hunger Games, because it gives it more of like an immediate feeling and it kind of forces you to read on because you're experiencing things as the protagonist is. So I think it makes sense why people use it. It's not always my favorite. To each their own. But I will say in The Couple Next Door, I do feel like it really worked. After the first couple pages or so, it really didn't bug me anymore and I was very hooked into the story. So just a note. But basically, the premise of The Couple Next Door is that a couple, shocker, named Anne and Marco are getting together with their next door neighbors. But Anne and Marco have a 6-month-old baby whose name is Cora. They're planning to get together with their next door neighbors, but their babysitter cancels at the last minute. So instead of either bringing the baby along or rescheduling, they decide that they're just going to leave her at home, bring the baby monitor, and run back and forth every like half hour to an hour or so to just go and check and make sure she's still fine. To each their own. Anyway, so I mean, it's going pretty well for most of the night until obviously it isn't. They went on one of the checks they go over and the baby is missing. So they call the police and it looks like she's been kidnapped. So an investigation begins and suspicion falls on both Anna and Marco because they appear to be hiding something both from the detectives and from each other. There's lots of twists and turns in this book. It will keep you reading, I mean, because honestly, cliffhangers and stuff with chapters. It will just keep you reading. You need to find out what happened to baby Cora. Is she going to be okay? You know, all of this. You get invested. You want to know. Honestly, the thing that stood out to me the most about this book, though, is that this is the only book I can think of an example of that I literally gasped at the twist at the end, like audibly gasped. And I really don't think I've done that with another book ever. I mean, I've been surprised at endings and stuff, but this one I was like, clutching my pearls kind of deal. So if that intrigues you at all, maybe check it out. And I also learned that a show is coming out based on the book. So that's kind of cool. So if you want to read before you watch. Okay, so the next book that I have, that I actually have a copy of it here, and I'm filming on my phone, so I guess it's probably backwards to you, so sorry. But it's called The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. And I picked this one up looking for a summer thriller read, and yeah, it was pretty much exactly what I was looking for. It also has some Daisy Jones and the Six vibes for anybody who's kind of looking for something similar. So I said, like, as a bonus, I will just pop up Daisy Jones and the Six as a side recommendation for this video, because it is also a very easy read to get into. It's super quick, written like documentary style format. For those who haven't heard of it, there was an Amazon show earlier this year out starring Riley Keough, who is Elvis's granddaughter. But basically it follows the fictional band Daisy Jones and the Six, and it details, you know, all their dramas and stuff, and eventually how they break up at the height of their success. So you're kind of trying to figure out exactly what made them break up, you know, and all the little subplots and all that. And yes, the show is told as a documentary style, and the book is written that way too. It's written just in dialogue as like a documentary, so it's very quick to read. It's based on Fleetwood Mac, and if anyone listened to the album Rumors, about how they kind of broke up a bunch and had some dramas and stuff, all of that. I love Fleetwood Mac. I think they're great, so that's fun to read. I didn't love the ending of the book, I will say. Some people do, some people don't. They'll teach their own. Either way, though, it was still a really quick read to jumpstart if you're in a slump. So I do recommend it. But anyways, back to the villa. Coincidentally, characters in this book are also inspired by Fleetwood Mac. Fun fact, I didn't know that prior to reading it. I just was in a local bookstore and was looking in the thriller section, you know, for something, and read the dust jacket on the inside and was like, that sounds kind of Daisy Jones and the Six, and I had just finished the series and I was like, that could be fun. So I picked it up. But in this one, there are connecting storylines, one that flashbacks to the 70s and one in modern day. So in modern day, we follow two friends named Emily and Chess. So they decide to take a trip to Italy following Emily's messy separation and pending divorce from her husband, and they're using it as a chance to reconnect. So they've known each other, you know, for all their lives and stuff, but they've gotten busy with careers and life and all of that, so they're looking to reconnect. They end up staying at a villa that was made famous in the 1970s when a group of musicians and groupies stayed there for the summer. But then it led to a murder on the grounds. So one of the groupies, read girlfriends, kind of groupie too, but whatever, her name was Mari, and wow, I'm explaining this super well. Sorry. So Mari ended up writing a horror novel based on the events that took place that summer. Wow, I'm doing such a bad job. Sorry. Okay, but so the book preview, the book inner cover, says that this book was based on Fleetwood Mac, on Mary Shelley's writing of Frankenstein at a Lake Geneva castle with Lord Byron, and then also the Manson murders. So lots to chew on there. But yeah, it did grip me right away. You don't necessarily love the main characters or anything, but you do get invested quite quickly with the mystery of it. And I do really love books about female friendships and about the main characters being authors and readers. I love thrillers, so I mean, all of it, good combo for me. So yeah, I read it again in about a day. Good, quick read. Book done. All right, so the last book that I have on the list today is the recently published Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. And sorry, I don't have a copy of it. It's my sister's. I borrowed it from her. But it is another book about friendship between women writers again. So I apparently have a bit of a running theme here. But basically, it's June and Athena have been friends since college. They both attended Yale and were in the writing program, doing really well. They both wrote books post-college, but June's book flopped while Athena's took off and made her a literary star. So June naturally is in competition with Athena and harbors some resentment about this because she feels that her book only flopped because she's a basic white chick, and she believes that the publishing industry would just prefer to have only stories from like women of color, like Athena, who is Asian American. And so one night the women are hanging out, and then a freak accident happens where Athena ends up dying, and it's quite traumatic, actually. I won't spoil it or anything, but yeah, she ends up dying, and only June is there to witness it. So June makes the insane decision to steal Athena's first draft for her next novel, which is writing about the unsung contributions of Chinese laborers to the British and French war efforts during World War I. It's a pretty niche topic that I don't know that June is exactly an expert on. Spoiler, she's not. But anyways, she goes ahead and submits it to her own publisher, claiming that she wrote it. So that's pretty wild. But it's interesting that I recently read another book called The Plot, which is virtually the same plot as Yellowface, albeit there are some key differences. It's set each novel apart, so it's not like one is copying the other or anything. It's just coincidence that it's similar plot. So I'm just going to talk about that for a second here, just to compare it. But basically the plot is, it involves a washed up writer again, but this time it's a man who is teaching grad students because he hasn't been able to write a follow-up to his first novel, which was a huge success. But he ends up stealing the plot of a novel from one of his students who passes away unexpectedly and claims he wrote it himself. And there's lots of twists and turns with that one too. So I mean, I guess I'll recommend it too for a reading slump. It is good. I will say, same with Daisy Jones and the Six, but for a different reason. I didn't love the ending of it. Again, some people might. I just found it like disturbing and not in a good way. It just kind of haunted me a bit. Personal opinion there, whatever. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I loved the plot of The Plot. I just didn't love the book as a whole, even though it did read really quickly and did jumpstart my reading too. So for the purposes of this video, yes, I would recommend it. Just not my favorite book. But with Yellowface, I will say I loved both the plot and the book. So win-win there, but I didn't love the protagonist, but that's kind of the point. So I think that what made Yellowface better for me than the plot, besides the ending, really was the commentary. Not just on the publishing industry, but also what it's like to be an Asian American woman in the publishing industry and also society. There's the whole added element in Yellowface of June kind of rebranding herself as Juniper Song, which so she can sound more ethnically ambiguous and not be questioned as harshly for writing a book on Asian history. And there's also tons of racism just kind of sprinkled through the whole book, and it's so casually done that you'd probably miss it. Well, I unfortunately feel like I've probably missed quite a bit of it, and if I was an Asian American woman, that would not be the case. It would probably stand out to me very clearly, but I just think the whole thing was really clever and well done, and again, I finished it in about a day. I just really wanted to know what was happening, couldn't put it down. So definitely qualifies as a quick read. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. If you have any suggestions for books that are great to get out of a reading slump, just really quick reads that grab you right away, please let me know. And if you have any thoughts about these books, yeah, let me know too. I'd love to hear it. So thank you so much for watching. I will be back at some point with another video.